All right, I'm back with my P320. This is Ryan Kleckner with Gun University. And yesterday I put up a couple videos that got quite a bit of attention, and I think for good reason, is I'm finding things that are happening with this P320 that I don't think should happen. Now, let's address some of the comments first. I'm shocked at how many people in the comments to the videos, either on YouTube or Instagram, are saying things like, yeah, you should try it with a stock P320. You have upgraded aftermarket parts on there. Guys, the description of the video clearly says this gun is 100% stock, factory OEM condition. This is a P320 Spectre. This is exactly how the gun was shipped to me from SIG. Yes, SIG directly shipped me this firearm to my FFL. I haven't changed a single thing. There's not a single spring that's been changed, a single part that's been changed. The only thing I've done to this is take the slide off and put the slide back on. That's it. I haven't even had to clean it yet because this has had less than a magazine of ammunition shot through it. So this is about as factory untouched of a gun as you can get. Now, the things I showed yesterday were two main issues. One was during a functions check. You can see the video, go back and look at it. I put a pencil in there so you can see the firing pin. After firing the gun, if the gun cycles, whatever, and I don't release the trigger yet. So before I release the trigger to reset, if I just grab the slide, the gun fires. It happens every single time. Oh, there it is. All right. So that's what happens with it. That was the first video I showed. And again, I had a pencil in there and it showed the firing pin hitting the pencil. Go check out the video. The second video was me just recording and playing around with it and just seeing what I can do to get it to fire. And the first time I tried, I just barely touched the trigger. Not all this pre-travel, just barely touched the trigger, and the striker released. I didn't have a pencil in there or an unprimed cartridge or a live round in there, so I have no idea if the striker actually made it through the slide face. I don't know. I tried it again, and the striker just slid right over the sear and it wouldn't even fire. Matter of fact, that happens quite a bit with this. Oh, that one did it there. There, it's dead. If you do too hard, the striker just slips right over the sear. It doesn't even cock. Or maybe it does, it just releases right away. That was what happened the second time in the second video. And then the third time, I charged it and I just moved the slide, not even a finger on the trigger at all, and the gun fired. Again, I don't know if the striker went all the way through the slide face because I didn't have a pencil in there because I wasn't expecting it to happen. I was just playing around with it and thought, oh, I need to put that video up also so you guys can see what's going on. So, absolutely factory gun. No aftermarket parts. No changed springs. Nothing's been messed with. No high wear. Nothing. That's what's happening. I also was extremely careful in my videos to say, I don't think this is all SIG P320s. I don't think this is all SIG firearms. All I'm doing is showing what is happening with this gun. I don't care what your opinion is on, oh, if you didn't do this, then shut up. First off, no. Second, I'm just showing what's going on with this. This is just a data point. When I do this, this happens with this gun. Maybe you'd like to see it. I didn't say your gun purchase was a bad idea. I didn't insult your favorite brand. I think I was very careful to say that. I also said that doesn't mean that these are just going off in holsters like some people are claiming. Okay? In the article I wrote on Gun University, I think I was fair to say that a good chunk, I might have even used the word majority, I'm not sure, I'll have to go back and read it, of these issues are user error. They're getting keys in the trigger or something's happening like that. I completely understand that. All I'm doing is showing I've got something going on with my pistol that makes me not trust this. Now, Phil Schrader, vice president at SIG, I think he's a good guy. He and I have known each other for years. He and I used to work at Remington together. He used to be the president of USPSA. Guy knows about shooting, okay? He knows how to shoot, and he's been at SIG for quite a while. He knows a lot about this pistol. I think, matter of fact, I've been on the range shooting 6-7 years ago with him with this pistol. He reached out to me, and I think it's awesome that he did because he's at SIG, and he's kind of the guy over all this. And he didn't reach out and be like, hey, man, how dare you say that? He actually reached out in the coolest way possible. He said something to the effect of, hey, Ryan, how's it going? Phil here. I think I know what might be going with your pistol. Give me a call. So we ended up connecting. We just kept texting because it was late for him. But we ended up connecting and talking about it. And he had said that he thinks he knows what's going on with it. and that he's experienced that before with one of his pistols. And he gave me some ideas to troubleshoot it. And I did troubleshoot it and look at it, and I think that might be the fix. So, if you took my videos for me to say that this is completely unsafe, this is a horrible platform, and all 320s are dangerous because look what happens to all 320s. Well, that's not what I said. But if you did think that's what I said, then I was wrong. Because there is a fix for it, and the fix has to do with putting it together the right way, which means I put it together the wrong way. And let me show you how I put it together the wrong way, which caused the problem. So I completely did not follow the manual exactly, and I put it together the wrong way, which I'm sure some other people have put it together this way. And that's what makes this condition happen. If I do it the right way, it shouldn't happen, but let's test it out here. So that takes away a lot of the concern of this is completely unsafe and this is what will happen to 320s. Well, I guess not if you put it together the right way and follow the manual like you're supposed to do, which I should have done. However, that still doesn't mean it's a completely safe design to me. We're going to test it in just a second. Because if it's that easy to put together the wrong way and it puts it into what I consider an absolutely dangerous condition, that's not a good design. I don't think it's a good design at all. You can put it together, you can look at it and go, yep, here's the pistol. Looks good, put it back together. And it's dangerous and you don't know it by looking at it. Now, Phil said that when it's in this dangerous condition that I should not be able to insert a magazine. And if you noticed in the videos yesterday, I didn't have a magazine at all. Well, I brought a magazine. Okay? This magazine has some more wear on it because I use this one a lot in my other P320. And for those of you that think I was just hating on the P320, go look at any of my shooting videos that I've put up in the past 6 years, I think. I've gone all to the P320. I completely stopped shooting Glocks. My competition, my everything went all P320. I even switched over to carrying a P365. I've since stopped that. I now carry a Glock 43X. But this isn't like I'm just sitting here waiting for a chance to hate on the 320. Guys, all my videos, all my shooting, all my training is done voluntarily adopting a 320. I can't hate it that much. Again, just showing you what I saw. All right, so here's the issue with the magazine. Phil's right. In some instances, the magazine can be difficult, impossible to insert. Again, I don't know if that's a great design, that it should work that way, because here's what happens. So if I take the magazine, I go to put it in, it sticks, it binds at the end there. Okay? So at the very end, it binds in this bad condition. Remember, I just showed you the strike releases. So this is what I call the dangerous or bad condition. I'm sure SIG would call it the incorrect condition. Okay? The magazine binds. However, if I just take the slide and I lock it to the rear, the magazine goes in very easily. It works like it's supposed to. Magazine does go right in. So the magazine's hard to insert until I just lock the slide to the rear, and then the magazine goes in just fine, which I think is fairly easy for someone to do. Now, inside, what's going on here? What I think might be going on is that when I rotate the takedown lever to take the slide off, there's a little part that extends back. So on the pistol, a little part extends back here that makes it to where the magazine can't go in. And then when the gun is put back together and the takedown lever is returned, that part retracts and allows the magazine to go in. That's cool that they thought of that design for there, but that's what I think is happening. But again, what kind of design do we have that we have to rely upon that little tiny piece? And I think what's happening is when you use the slide lock and you lock the slide to the rear, it removes the spring tension from the main recoil spring off of that piece and allows it to snap back. So I think what's happening is that piece is artificially sticking back, even when the gun is together. When the slide lock lever is back, I'll do it this way. That piece is sticking back, which is preventing the magazine from going in. Well, not anymore. Magazine goes in fine now, which is preventing it. And then when I use the slide lock lever, that piece is able to snap back. Good. That is good. And I didn't know that yesterday. My concerns still, though, are what happens if it doesn't jump back on its own. If it gets a little dirty or not oiled or whatever. Maybe the magazine still won't go in. What happens if it's in a partial condition? Well, let me show you what's going on with the assembly. So here in the SIG manual, on page 69, nice, it says, when you're putting the pistol back together, guide the slide onto the frame rails from the front, retract slide fully to the rear, and then engage slide catch lever to lock slide in the open position. That's not what I was doing. Okay. If you don't do this, it goes into this dangerous condition. If you do this, it shouldn't. But since we're relying upon a part to snap back under some spring tension on its own, I don't know how much it's guaranteed to not be the dangerous condition or is or not. I don't know. But the point is, this right here is the issue that I just gave you guys a hard time for your reading comprehension on not reading the description that this is 100% OEM factory stock. And yet I'm the one that also didn't read very well in the manual. But to be a little fair to me, who's reading the manual on how to put this together like that? And who's paying attention to that? Apparently not me. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So if we take the pistol and we lock the slide to the rear and we rotate the takedown lever, the slide comes off, okay? Here it is, all the factory parts in their glory, untouched. I think this is even the upgraded one for people that were claiming on that, okay? So I don't know if you can tell by looking at that, there's factory parts. There's not a whole lot of wear. There's a little bit of grease wear right there on the sear, or marks. I bet I could wipe that off. But anyway, this is what's going on. So now when I put this together, I don't know if you guys do the same thing, but this is what I do, which is incorrect. This is not the right way. What I will do is I'll put the slide back on, okay? And I'm going to try and show this. I don't know how I can show this for you guys to see it this way. When I take the slide and I put it back on, I pull the slide to the rear. Yeah, I can't show this very well. And I just hit the takedown lever and put it back together, okay? So I don't know if you can, again, here I'll stand up so you guys can see it. Okay, I take this. Here we go. Oh, I already used the takedown lever there. I will take it, and when I slide it on, I just pull it to the rear and snap it on. That's how I've put SIGs together. That's just what I'm used to doing. What that does is it puts it into the dangerous condition where it will fire just by touching the slide. That's what happens. Gun looks fine, okay? But it's in that condition where, look at that, the sear or the striker just went by the sear already. So it's together, but because I didn't use the slide stop, when I put it together, it doesn't work. Now, if I lock the slide to the rear later, magazine goes in fine. Okay, but I didn't put it together right. So let me show you how you're supposed to put it together right. So according to the manual, which I did not follow, here I'll stand up again. You are supposed to take the slide and put it on. Lock it to the rear first, then do the takedown lever, then release it. I just held it in place. Okay, now by doing that, the magazine goes in just fine, and I should not have the issue, but it's hard to tell. So it's not happening. That's not hard to tell. Here, it's not happening. But am I just not pulling it enough? Am I not being rough enough with it? So my understanding is when the takedown lever is rotated on the 320, not only does that piece go back into the way to stop the magazine, also the sear is lowered out of the way so the slide can come off. From what I've heard from SIG, this is to fix or remove the potential for a problem that a Glock could have, which is in order to disassemble the Glock, you need to pull the trigger first, which then brings the sear down so the striker can go over so that the slide can come off. Because when it's still charged and you haven't dropped it yet, that sear is going to hold the striker, and so you'd be able to pull the slide, but you'd be fighting the striker to try and get it off. So the 320, the idea was that by having the takedown lever, it can pull the sear down out of the way already in this condition so that the slide will just come off without having to pull the trigger, thereby having arguably a safer system where you're not going to have negligent discharges for people pulling the trigger when they disassemble the gun because they didn't make sure it was empty. So that sear is now lowered down too low because of the takedown lever. So when you put it back together the way I've been doing it, I guess I could do it this way. Let's see if we can feel it. Yeah, when you've been doing it the way I've been doing it, which is just holding the slide to the rear, putting it back together like that, okay? Apparently the sear, even though the takedown lever's back, the spring tension somehow bound parts and didn't allow the sear to get back up into its full height so that it can, but I don't know, right now, it's not happening. And I just put it together wrong. So if it happened every time I put it together wrong by not using the slide stop, and it didn't happen every time the other way, I would say that's 100% the issue. But here, I just showed you that I put it together wrong, and it's not firing. So I guess when you put it together wrong without using the slide stop, I shouldn't do that. when you put it together wrong. The manual says to use the slide stop, and I didn't use the slide stop. When you put it together that way, sometimes that happens. What happened is I must have put it together the incorrect way a while ago, pulled this thing out after all the stuff's been going on with the 320 and said, I wonder what's going on with this 320. And then started seeing all the issues. Yeah, now it's not happening at all. Let's see if the magazine goes in. Yeah, the magazine goes in. So I guess it must have been one of those times that I put it together wrong and some parts bound the wrong way. The sear probably didn't travel back up the way it needed to go. And so when I was testing it, I saw what I saw. So I decided to show you guys what I saw because I thought this is concerning. I still think it's concerning, by the way. But Phil looks like he's right about this, which means that he knew about this and SIG knew about this. I guess that's why they put it in the manual. If it was this important for it to be done, maybe call it out a little bit better. I mean, you guys tell me. Is this 100% on me? Did I just put it together the wrong way? Would you guys not do the same thing? Maybe I'm just used to Glocks. So to Glock's credit, you know, you put a Glock together. As you take the slide, you put it on, you release it, and you're done. There's no way to put it together the wrong way. Yeah, to me, I just easily, I can't show it that way. Whenever I put a slide back on, it just seemed too easy to me to put it on, rotate it, and be done. But the right way would have been to go lock it to the rear, then rotate it, then release it. And first time, this slide stop lever, in my opinion, should have nothing to do with the operation of the sear and the striker and the firing of the gun. I think you should be able to completely take a slide stop lever out of a gun and it should work safely, reliably, and fine. Apparently on this one, the difference between this and this, like this little bit of a movement, makes the gun into a dangerous condition or not a dangerous condition when you're putting it back together because of the part binding. And then the magazine, let's see, right now it goes in fine. That's because I think I used the slide stop lever most recently. So I'll say it this way to try and summarize it. I'm just rambling now. The P320 does exactly what I showed you it does. It will, and it did, just like I did at the beginning of this video, discharge the striker just by pulling on the slide when the trigger is held to the rear instead of resetting. So it could technically be firing automatically if it bounced enough, I guess. Or it won't catch or release. It's also true that the reason it was doing that looks like, I think, it was because I put it together in a way that's not described in the manual. I didn't use the slide stop lever when I reassembled the gun. There was no way for me to tell from the outside of the gun that that was an issue. And maybe I'm the odd one out here, but that's just how I put the guns together quickly. Again, like a Glock, you just pull the slide on and let go, you're done. There's no extra. If you don't use the slide release, then the sear's not going to be in a safe condition. There's none of that. But I did it wrong. And Phil's also right that it should bind to the magazine and make it to where the magazine doesn't insert all the way or it has and is a problem. However, like I just showed you, if you are someone that locks the slide to the rear to insert your magazine, then you're never going to have that issue because the part's going to pop out of the way. Now that part popping back out of the way, again, is it gummed up? Is it lubed enough? Is the spring strong enough? I don't know. And does that part popping out of the way make the sear go back to a safe condition? I don't know. This is enough, though, for me to say, even though for years I swore about how much I liked the 320 and how much I used it and all the shooting I've been doing with it, at this point, it's too complicated with parts in there compared to a Glock for me. Phil was absolutely right that if I tried that it would fix the issue. And so far it has. I haven't tested enough. I'd like to assemble it incorrectly 20 times and try it, and assemble it correctly 20 times and try it to really be sure that it's happening. But the reliance on the parts to snap back into place where they need to be, depending on if I use a slide stop, doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy. But he's right. And I didn't follow the manual. I should have followed the manual that says to do it, and maybe it wouldn't have happened. Likely it wouldn't have happened. But again, we're relying on springs to pull parts back and do things. And you can't tell from the outside. I don't know if the magazine is 100% telltale, but he also was right about that it did bind up the magazine when it was done the wrong way. So I leave it to you. I'm not telling you whether you should have one or not. I'm just telling you I'm done. It's just too weird. I don't like feeling a pistol, having that happen, whether you've had that happen on yours or not. Maybe try assembling it the wrong way and see if it happens on yours. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it there other than I appreciate you guys looking at the attention of it. I'm glad we found a fix Maybe that's a fix so that it won't happen for this gun ever again. I don't know. Again, what if I'm shooting this thing, or I put it together and a part didn't slide back and I don't see what it did, and I just don't know. But we diagnosed it. The power of the internet. Thanks, Phil. I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate you showing what's going on. I appreciate everyone helping spread the word. Let me know if you can do the same thing with your pistol, and see if the fix works for you as well. Thanks, guys.